make the move, make the action. To everybody, to any person, tomorrow is new. You have to work very hard.
They say that nothing good happens in the 4 a.m. hour. Well, I can guarantee you this, it's 4:45 a.m., it's still dark outside. Look at that, the lights just went out, and I'm getting ready to kill this AM cardio. You can't even see me, but it's gonna be so good, it's bad.
The safest way to try and get what you want is to try and deserve what you want. It's such a simple idea. It's the golden rule, so to speak. You want to deliver to the world what you would buy if you were on the other end. There is no ethos, in my opinion, that is better for any lawyer or any other person to have. By and large, the people who had this ethos win in life, and they don't win just money, just honors and emoluments. They win the respect, the deserved trust of the people they deal with. And there is huge pleasure in life to be obtained from getting deserved trust.
If a person is earning, let's say, $25,000 a year, they're not earning 25 because they want 25. They're earning 25 because they are not aware of how to earn 50.
In today's time, it's literally just about you realizing your own potential and being creative within your own potential. Oh, this is what I can do, so I need to master this, this, and this.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Isn't that a profound statement? You will notice that it says nothing about the need for education, but simply that whatever your mind can conceive and believe, your mind can achieve.
I think a lot of it comes down to, a lot of people are like, oh, like, you must be a super tough motherfucker and all this other shit. And I think it comes down more to just like how bad you want it. Like in life, like if you just want something so fucking bad, like I just remembered like when I was doing the 50-meter underwater swim, it was really hard for me. I'd never been able to do it outside of, SEAL training. And the only 2 times I did it was when I like had to do it. And I just remembered, I was just like, well, I'm just going to swim until I fucking reach the wall or black out. Like there just wasn't another option. Like I just wasn't going to quit just because I wanted it so bad.
Because you see, understanding gives us the ability, if we cannot see the positive circumstance on the outside, we can build it on the inside. That's why Napoleon said, circumstance, hell, I make them. George Bernard Shaw said, people are always blaming circumstance for what they are. He said, I don't believe in circumstance. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up, look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they make them. They have the understanding they can do that. And through doing that and getting emotionally involved, they then set up an emotional state that's quite opposite to fear. It's called faith.
I represent hard work, determination, motivation. I think without a doubt, if anything else, by watching me, it's simply an example of hard work pays off.
That's it.
What you put into your craft, you can get out to it if you put 110% into it. And I'm just an example of that.
I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
make enough mistakes. Don't worry. You fall, you stand up. You fall, you stand up. Enjoy it. I mean, 25 years old, enjoy the show, enjoy the show.
It's so important to know where you are. And I know where I am right now. How do you go from where you are to where you want to be? And I think you have to have an enthusiasm for life. You have to have a dream, a goal, and you have to be willing to work for it.
It's way easier to stay out of trouble than to get out of trouble financially. And I will guarantee you, if you run up big credit card debts, you will be in trouble probably the rest of your life in terms of your financial situation. On the other hand, if you get ahead of the game, even it's on a very modest scale, so that money is coming in from investing, and people owe you money or equities owe you ownership, you'll be way ahead of the game compared to paying it, always paying your creditors every month. So my advice to you is, if you can't pay for it, don't buy it, and get yourself in a position where you can pay for anything.
You might never fail on the scale I did, but some failure in life is inevitable. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default.
Life is not a sprint. Life is a marathon, guys. It's all about patience. A wise man once said this: it's not all about doing good. Everybody does good. It's not about doing good. It's how long you can do good.
Nobody can guarantee we'll be successful, right? So I think the only thing that can guarantee our success is keep the passion, keep believing the future, keep on investing in the young people, and keep on the mission that helping others doing success. If we keep on that, we have the chance to be successful. If we think, well, we are rich enough, let's enjoy the life, and now that will never work, right? And now we're getting more competitors. All the guys, entrepreneurs, if you do business, you will always have a competition. Don't worry about the competition, because your competitors also worry about you.
I think that you have to take risks all the time. If you don't do that, you don't move forward. We are trying to be too conservative in the way that you think life. And the result is that nobody voices out to say, I don't agree with this, I agree with that. So we have to push somehow our individuality to make sure that our voice can be heard.
It is crucial to have multiple interests and skill sets, to have tried and possibly failed at many different undertakings. The young people that we hire today at Condé Nast are fearless polymaths, hardworking and passionate, creative and curious.
Life will have terrible blows in it, horrible blows, unfair blows. Doesn't matter. And some people recover and others don't. And There, I think the attitude of Epictetus is the best. He thought that every mischance in life was an opportunity to behave well. Every mischance in life was an opportunity to learn something. And that your duty was not to be submerged in self-pity, but to utilize the terrible blow in a constructive fashion.
The difference between those people and other people, they are always optimistic for the future. They never complain. They always try to solve the problems of the others. And I think, where is the opportunity? The opportunity always lies in the place where people complain. Some people sit there complain, you think, if I can solve that complaint, that's the opportunity. That's what I did.
Your best financial future is your own ability and your capacity to use those abilities to their potential. And that can't be taken away from you. They can't even tax it. I mean, most things. If you own a piece of real estate, if they double the taxes, they double the taxes, and that changes your ownership in the property, because now, in effect, the taxing authorities own more of it because they've got a greater command on the revenue stream. The same thing about almost any asset you have, but they don't tax what's in your head, and they don't tax your ability to start performing when you get to work in the morning and finish in the evening. To your potential. One of the things that amazes me is how people who really do perform well just sort of jump out at you once you're running a business. When I got out of school, I thought, everybody would behave that way, but they don't. Most people sort of go through life in a sleepwalk, and if you don't, you will stand out. So the biggest thing for your financial future is yourself. Now, beyond that, it is always being ahead of the game rather than getting behind the game. It's saving a little, no matter how you do it. I mean, I delivered papers, I worked at Penny's, I sold golf balls, I had a pinball machine around. I did a lot of things that enabled me to accumulate about $10,000 by the time I got out of school. 10,000 doesn't go as far now as it did then, but having anything so that you're ahead of the game and not getting behind the game is enormously important. I mean, just, if you're going to run a 100-yard dash against a bunch of people in life, if you can figure it out so that when the gun goes off, you're 10 or 15 yards ahead instead of 10 or 15 yards behind, it's going to make an enormous difference in how that race comes out. So having some net resources doesn't make much difference whether they're in stocks or bonds, in my view, but and not having debt when that gun goes off when you get out of school is a huge plus over being behind the game. And it may come from delivering a paper out in the morning, it may come from part-time work someplace, but put aside a few dollars for yourself so that when the time comes and you enter the workforce, you're ahead of the game and not behind. And then once you get there, don't get behind by buying a whole lot of things that you figure you're going to pay for someday while you're paying 20% interest in between.
I think, honestly, being true to yourself is the absolute key to being successful in this kind of a model, because you can't fake authenticity, you can't fake loving something, and honestly, to I think any artistic form or medium, you have to work so hard to get your stuff heard or seen. And so if you don't absolutely love it, you will burn yourself out. And the only way I'm able to do what I do is, I'm almost a workaholic because I love what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And it's okay, because I'm enjoying it, because I love the people that I work with, it doubles as work and recreation. And if I didn't love it, it would be impossible.
Our system is to swim as competently as we can, and sometimes the tide will be with us and sometimes it will be against us. But by and large, we don't much bother with trying to predict the tides because we plan to play the game for a long time. I recommend to all of you exactly the same attitude. It's kind of a snare and a delusion to outguess macroeconomic cycles. Very few people do it successfully, and some of them do it by accident. When the game is that tough, why not adopt the other system of swimming as competently as you can and figuring that over a long life you'll have your share of good tides and bad tides.
If you're a young person like I used to be, and you're at home watching and you're being called weird, or you're being called different, or whatever the hell you're being called, I'm here tonight to tell you, your critics do not count. Their words will fade. You won't. Stay foolish, stay hungry, dream, work hard, and who knows, maybe someday you'll find yourself standing on a stage, and maybe someday somebody will be giving you an award, calling you an innovator.
I think clarity is the one of the most important leadership qualities that one can have. I think it's really important to be very specific and very clear in what you expect, and then to delegate. People respond much better when they're in a more independent environment and you're not completely breathing down their neck all the time. The other thing I think is incredibly important is to hire divas like Andre Leontali, who will disagree with you and contradict you and not yes you all the time. And not to be scared of having people working with you that have different opinions.
Part of life is getting prepared so that when something does happen that's significant, you can grasp the significance of it and know what to do with it. And I would say that first 8 years of fooling around, even though it produced nothing financially to speak of, produced a lot in terms of getting my mind prepared for when I really did read something that made sense. So I was ready to accept it.
When I was a teenager, I read some words that I found extremely powerful that I've been carrying with me ever since. And those words were from our 26th President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt. So just indulge me for a second. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does always actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.